So first off, I guess just thank you all for your continued participation throughout the duration of this program. You know, your volunteer time and efforts really did actually help shape what we have made and continue to grow.
Yeah, and it's been great to get to all you know a little better. I've been inspired by some of your stories, checking in individually, and it's been cool to see the growth out of the program. And we hope that it's been beneficial for you as much as it has been for us.
Yeah, and I second his motion there. I've really sort of take some pride in the ownership and seeing you guys meet together on casual lunches or just sort of anything at all, as well as just the learning experience for me to be able to sort of lead and develop a project or a program like this has been a great learning experience.
Yeah, we know it hasn't been perfect along the way. We tried some different things that didn't work out so well, but we commend you all for sticking through it and continuing to participate. Means a lot.
You're welcome.
And then kind of going to what Patrick Spence said a couple months ago, moving our #1 company goal to engage and empower people, which is exciting. We're excited to see what comes from that program, but we see mentorship as a pillar of that, and we see you all as pioneers in making that journey. We don't know what the mentorship program will be like at a company-wide level, but we see you guys as having a head start to really grow and prosper with the benefit. Hey, Brittany.
Hi, Brittany.
Thanks for joining.
I scheduled the night stage for you, but it's Brian's there.
I saved you a seat, Brittany.
Good morning.
You want to let her move to the next she's going to go join in.
She's coming. All right, 2 minute intermission.
Break.
2 minute
Yeah, I need a break right now.
Good slide.
Sing a song.
That was a lot. Yeah.
This is what I was like.
Guess we'll wait for Gil and Brittany. Jeopardy music playing in the background.
Are we having mariachis here today? Is that what I
I
read?
don't know.
That's what I
Yeah,
read.
hey Brian, what are they doing over in Boston?
Probably nothing.
Do you guys celebrate Cinco de Mayo over there?
What's that?
Is that like is that just a West Coast thing?
It's not anything, but there's not much going on here.
Really?
They're going here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a band coming.
We're doing tequila shots.
Tequila shots.
Yeah.
We're having a contest. That would be great.
Now you're interested.
No, interested in watching.
Sounds like we're in bad over there.
That would actually be a good competition.
I'm gonna win.
No, you won't.
No one wins that.
I mean,
whoever wins kind of loses too, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like you will die
There's no
fast,
winning.
just like me.
Have you taken your daughter to the Moxie?
No. Dick took his kids there, and they're a bit older, obviously. So I wanted to ask somebody. I mean, she's at the cusp of like just really grasping almost seemingly everything now. So 6 months ago,
I want to go.
I want to go.
I know, for me.
Yeah,
For me.
the next
Well,
whole one, I'm
you
definitely
said
gonna
you-
go.
you
But you
said
have to
you
get
took
tickets
his
back. Like
kids.
it's sold out.
What is it, like
You
the
said
cocktail
you're
thing? Or?
close,
Yeah, like night ad,
I don't know, you should ask him.
but like it's sold out.
He said you
For
were
like tickets, yeah.
without him. He thought he
Well,
was
they did
able to
before it opened. They had some
made
Sonos
him like
things.
Yeah, I just was jealous to do it.
Yeah.
So they
I was trying to
have.
rally my troops. and I
Yeah,
failed.
he's running out of
Didn't
lunch.
rally, right?
Yeah, I don't.
Well, I mean,
So
I did, but
they
like started
have,
at
once a month
actually
they do an adult night where they throw alcohol.
Oh yeah, I'll go. Yeah. And then she's like, oh wait, just kidding, I'm a babysitter. No, I would
Yeah.
I just
Did you get a pass
waited.
for her?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I say we keep going.
I'd like to go.
I say we'll keep going. I don't know where
Okay,
Brittany went.
She's
Apparently the Boston office is huge. Walking very far.
But yeah, so this program is built from the ground up. It's truly a grassroots program. So your feedback over the next week or two or month will be basically the foundation of this program going forward, and how we adjust or develop or improve it is going to be based off of what you guys tell us.
So as a reminder, here's some of the things we've done over the past 6 months. And as we were looking into it, we kind of broke it up into 3 areas: speakers, group activities, and then individual check-ins. For the speakers, we had Donna and DJ. Donna talked about Power of You, and then DJ talked about personal branding. We were trying to line up a couple of others, but due to scheduling, it didn't work out. But our idea with these speakers was to like provide thought-provoking material that hopefully sparked good conversations between you and your mentor or mentee, and then just offer like an outside perspective, some new information, and then like an informational article or something like that.
Yeah, and then another sort of, I guess, event we did was the group activities, such as the coat of arms, and that's. Yes, A-Team won that one. And I think that was actually really well received from everybody who participated. Basically, this room plus Brian. So good job for us. And I think that was actually the point of that is to build the community or sense of camaraderie within the program, where you guys get to actually interact with each other without the direction of me and Sean. You can build those relationships and network.
And another one of the activities we tried was the skills and interests workshop for the proteges, which didn't go so well, to be frank, but something that we tried and trying to build that sense of community again. And then with individual check-ins, Aaron and I tried to meet with you guys as much as possible. We found it was hard to check in like every couple of weeks or so. So apologize if we didn't check in with you as much as we could have, but it was really interesting to get that feedback one-on-one and hear what's going well in the program and what's not.
Yeah, and as today the last stop there is 5-5. It's not to say this is an end to the relationships. We do highly encourage you guys continue to meet as you see fit, and everyone should have a mentor. There's an individual who actually has already actively sought out 2 mentors outside of this program. She went through a whole process of interviewing different candidates that she felt would help, meet her career ambitions. And it's actually really cool to see.
Yeah, we hope that calling her out. Yeah, we hope that, as Aaron said, it's not the end of the relationships, and you have somewhat of a better idea or guideline if you wanted to have a relationship with another mentor or mentee going forward, have it not being the one you're with now, anyone else, but we think it's an important part of just your career path at Sonos and in general. So we were curious, looking at the timeline, do you have any suggestions? Was it like too much or too little, or is there anything else that or something like it worked or didn't work? Any feedback?
I've talked to Sean and Aaron recently, but as far as the check-ins throughout the duration, I would have liked to check in with you guys as well, not just on the mentee side, but the mentor side.
We're recording. Oh, yep, you guys, by the way, just a disclaimer, being recorded for quality assurance and training purposes.
Sorry. No, good. Yeah, it would have been nice to have a check-in either with you two, but we talked about this before, but as the whole group convene for kind of a health check, temperature check outside of the the Power of You and the DJ session, just kind of like this, but within segmented.
We're starting on the idea of maybe like a call every 2 weeks, and whoever can attend wants to. We never really did it,
Yeah, I told you guys this already, but just kind of floating it out there. It felt, I know it was kind of free form by design as far as the parameters, but it almost felt like here you go, take it, and we'll see you in 8 months. And I'm being dramatic, but it just felt a bit loose.
No, that's fair. That's very fair.
What about you, Sean?
So, you know what, I agree with Mark on the regularity in which we could have gotten together more to kind of feed off of each other. It worked for Olivia. keep calling you Lady O, so that no.
You can call me whatever.
Sounds strange when I was going to say. Anyways, yeah, it worked well for us in terms of it allowed us that reform and how we interact with each other. But I think getting together more regularly as a bigger community, we would have been able to feed a little bit more off of each other. So I agree with Mark on that point. I personally like anything so I speak for. We like the free form too. I think it gave us a lot more freedom in how we developed the relationship. Without the constraints of a structure per se around it, which could become burdensome to some extent. And given that bandwidth is a big issue for everybody, it really gives us the flexibility to work with it. So I kind of like it.
It's interesting because you were one of the ones that were very outspoken in the beginning about having more structure, having more, timeline, more detail around it. So, but I think the nice thing about that is because there is time constraints on all of us, that having the free form really does work.
Right, totally.
Yeah, it's hard to strike the right balance between like too many group activities or not enough. So
Right.
That's the thing, it's just enough structure.
Yeah.
And that's kind of tough to really pinpoint, but
But if you roll this out to another group, and that's the direction we're going is to do 2 more pilots.
Yep.
What would you do differently than what Sean and Aaron did?
what you're stealing our thunder with that for a later slide.
what I do, I wait until I guess Sean's slide comes up.
Okay.
Sorry, think about it. I do think about that. Sit back.
I felt that having more outside speakers would have given me a lot of benefit. I know from what you just said it to maybe attempt to do so. I feel that if we had, here I go contradicting myself, but if you had a program as the program owners, in which you identify your speakers early, reach out to them early, give them like a 2 months heads up saying, hey, you know what, we're rolling out this program. We need you to be part of it kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you can get early commitment and therefore have them, things will happen, kids will get sick, stuff like that. But at least it gives them time to plan for it and more chances of their being here because we could have done some of that now.
Yeah, that's fair.
And allow for contingencies too is kind of a plan B just in case. Kind of a pool of sorts.
Yeah.
Internal or external, I guess, but probably more internal with that pool. Just to ensure the flow.
Yeah, like I think out of all the activities, like I like DJs, talk a lot. I would have felt like that. I think I said this before, but like that would have been maybe first. I think it would have been more helpful. Like there was good discussion and just got you focusing on more like the skills and things you wanted to get out of it. And the woman, yeah. I didn't personally get as much out of that. Like when I think back, I think of that as being like something like not as important to do again.
Yeah.
And the coat of arms I like too.
I think, would you guys agree that the coat of arms should probably be done, at the more beginning stages of the program? So it would give you that chance to sort of interact or meet or build relationships with each other? Or is it?
I mean, you could do something else that you build relationships like, but I don't know that has to be done at any specific point. It was just helpful that you got to interact with more than outside of just your mentor, and you build more relationship and team building throughout the group.
Yeah, I think
Sean.
I was gonna say I think if we were to do it again, like a day one, like some type of icebreaker activity, where we're all together doing some playing heads up summits.
We just did that at our
something like that.
Yeah, I think the important call out is that you guys didn't use any budget for this, huh? So like with money, I feel like that would be like a huge difference. But like the fact that you were able to do this with no budget is actually like gold star for both of you. Like,
that was one of our big lessons.
like you had programs and speakers, and like, is there anything else in the company that happens with like programs and speakers that is like a thing that doesn't use any budget at all? Like probably not.
Very rarely.
That's a valid point. Great.
Yeah, that's a great point indeed.
Well, that's
No ways to go when you want to get something done without money.
Yeah, I mean it's just really hard, like or like more hard.
Very
For
resourceful.
sure.
Very resourceful.
Yeah. That's a lesson learned. We're gonna have a budget going forward, right? All right.
Yes.
That's a yes. Take as a yes. You wanna?
Yeah. So as you guys are thinking, reflecting on kind of where you came from, at the beginning in the first survey, we asked, what do you want to achieve by participating in this program? And a couple examples, one from a mentee, to become a better individual or worker, come out of my shell and become the best I can be. And from a mentor perspective, one of you guys said, I want to help a newer employee learn and grow, and in turn help myself to better understand other roles within Sonos. So kind of thinking of your original goals, or if you didn't have an original goal, did you get something that you that was kind of unexpected out of the program, or if you had a goal, did you kind of meet what you
Were you guys able to meet your goals generally?
I think so.
Yeah.
For me, it was really great to have like that different perspective, and like that not in finance, for instance. So yeah, I wanted to just know more about the business, know more about, you know, other areas, and I definitely feel like I was able to with this.
And do you feel that there's this sort of the 6-month window was enough time, or would you probably, if you were to do it again, would you?
I think originally when I heard 6 months, like that feels like a long time or sounds like a long time, but it just goes by so quick.
Right.
And like Heather and I will for sure keep meeting. But I think for a good like start, I think that's a good amount of time, because once you reach that 6 months, you're kind of good to go. Like you don't really need more help or involvement, I think. Yeah, so I think that's a good amount of time.
To me, just the perspective of Sherwin and like a person who has had like a career and been successful in it, as far as if I know that you're going to be all like, well, there could be, but like, shh. It's just like not only nice to like kind of see that, but also be guided in a way. To me, like I've always had like this idea of what I wanted to do, but there was no real clear way of like thinking about it, restructuring it, or like finding sort of checkpoints along the way to be like, okay, I am progressing toward this, other than like kind of arbitrarily what I set for myself, which can be scary. So it was just really nice to have Sherwin like not only to kind of frame a trajectory for me, but like in a way that made sense, was on my terms, and that I like absolutely will continue using like as I keep looking forward. As even like I had to choose like which law school I wanted to go to, and even that, using like Sherwin's framing of kind of how to look at your career and its trajectory has been like just so useful for me, and like alleviated a lot of my like anxiety and fears.
That's awesome. Is that something you thought you'd get out of it, or it just happened naturally?
That happened mostly naturally. Like as I kind of told you guys earlier, like there wasn't necessarily like, I know that I probably set a goal, but that wasn't ever really in my mind. It was just sort of like, oh, let's see what I can get out of this. And like, it's been more valuable than I thought it would be, even like, and I was excited to do it personally.
Great. It's my pleasure. And
Good job.
No, please say that you enjoyed it too, or else it's going to be really awkward.
I've always said that my weakest point is selling anything. I cannot convince a person to buy something that they don't want to buy, but I think it's a strength for selling, for people to sell. And so for Olivia to have received my stuff is because she was very willing to receive it. And that really set the tone and the synergy that we enjoyed. You know, she was very receptive, and then I started learning from her, understanding the whole, you know, being young again, you know. Through somebody else's eyes. It was awesome. So yeah, it was. I hope you're doing this for life.
Yeah, I mean, I see no reason. I'm not getting deep anytime soon.
Oh, you know, I think you got a great civic lawyer on the way. So.
Thank you. Trying
Anyone else, or is that?
Boy, Maddie, why don't you tell your story, since you're the one that Aaron called out.
See, an individual.
Yeah, my experience was probably completely different than what I thought I'd get out of this. Just when Sean asked me to kind of participate, because I'd done a couple other random things like this, like year one when that was a thing, and some other things. So I was really excited and just to get out and talk to more people outside of my role and our team. So that's kind of what I was just going into it as, just to, see what else is in Sonos and learn more. So I initially had Trevor as my mentor in Australia, and he was like, go, or is not with Sonos anymore, like a couple months ago. And then talking to Gil and Sean and Aaron a little bit more, they still wanted me to be a part of this program, and I definitely wanted to be a part of it too. But it was kind of like, didn't know which route that would take, or if I would just listen in or find another mentor that would be part of this. And so talked to Gil a lot, which was really helpful. And actually went through kind of like doing my own mini mentor program within this. And it was actually really helpful to use this as like a broader knowledge of what you could actually get out of a mentor-mentee relationship, and just like seeing how that could form, or with other people that I've seen in the program and that. So it was really helpful to go into finding my own mentor, just
with
that knowledge.
Yeah, so talking to Gil a bunch, and we didn't know if like it made sense for me to find another mentor and bring them into this program halfway through, because it kind of wouldn't make sense to that person maybe, but I definitely wanted to find a mentor and had been thinking about that for a while. So we kind of decided on interviewing some people within Sonos that Gil had thought might be a good match. Talked about a couple different people that I maybe knew or didn't know, and the areas that they were in. So yeah, Gil helped me set up like an interview process with a couple of different people in Sonos, and I met with them just to see like what would be a good fit, or if they were interested in, being a mentor and that kind of thing. And I went into it not really knowing like if they would be part of this actual group, or maybe something in the future. If you guys do a next steps, like we could go and do that kind of thing. But yeah, so it ended up working out and being super helpful. And I ended up finding like 2 mentors within Sonos. So one kind of outside of my team and completely different than what I'm doing right now. And then one of more like a personal mentor who's closer to my role, and I was already pretty close with and had a relationship. So that's kind of just building on that. But yeah, I've been meeting with them every other week now consistently, and they're not really a part of this, but I think one of them maybe if something, continued out of this, might want to, or just use this as a basis too. And even like thinking about the talking points and like skills. I mean, we didn't really talk about skills and niches specifically, but just having that like as a way, especially for me to go in, because I reached out to these people. So like, it's kind of on me to be the self-starter and bring stuff. Like they're not going to just come and, I want to talk about this today, or like that kind of stuff. So having this as a basis of what like I could potentially go in and talk about, or what to think about, was really helpful. But yeah, so.
That's awesome. Great feedback. Yeah, and we think at the beginning of this, we kind of had like a finite group of people, so we kind of just like matched to how we thought it would work. But I think that selection process going forward would be awesome.
Yeah, it was. And I met with a couple of different people who I ended up obviously not being like matched with, or we didn't continue, but they were everyone was super receptive. And I actually, and one of the guys ended up pairing me up with someone else too, because he didn't have time, but he was interested. So I've been meeting with someone else actually on like more of a show and tell kind of thing, not really a mentor, but just like talking more and learning more about Sonos. So like a bunch of other different things happened just by meeting with these people. So that was super helpful. I think, yeah, if you do another session, to have some kind of interview process or like on both ends to like the mentor and the mentee, it was really helpful. And it definitely took me like out of my comfort zone, and I had to go into these and meet with, these different people. So, and different areas within Sonos. Yeah, it was really beneficial.
Cool.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, Manny.
Yeah.
When you were with Trevor, because it's a virtual thing,
yeah.
How did that work? I know it obviously didn't work out in the end,
yeah,
duration-wise, but did you find it difficult? The lack of face-to-face personal interaction.
I had met Trevor like once or twice before, so we kind of knew each other. I think I had never met him before, and we just started on Zoom.
Yeah.
across the world, it might have been a little weird, or just to get going, maybe it would have taken longer. But it wasn't that difficult. We met every other week, but once it got into Q1, like, I don't know if a lot of people had this, but we definitely canceled a bunch of meetings. So there was like a point for like a month or 6 weeks, where we didn't meet, and that's hard because if you're in the office, you can just go up and
walk next to somebody.
talk to them. So that was maybe a challenge, but I mean, we all use Zoom so much, so it wasn't, when we were on it, it wasn't an issue.
That's good to know, because I was talking to Sean and Aaron, and to keep doing this across all offices, at a certain point there are finite resources, say in Australia or China. I don't know if logistically it would work, but what's the kind of collective approach going forward as far as pairing people, with someone who's a good fit? But are you kind of regulated within like face-to-face confines, or?
Yeah, no, it's a good question, and something we've been thinking about. We're not totally sure. We think obviously if you're face-to-face, it grows and
go get coffee.
It's just much more natural. Yeah. But I mean, we have seen it has worked. I think with like Sean and Annie, because people are like traveling and stuff. Like you guys had a chance to meet face to face for a little bit, and that helped. So we're not exactly sure yet.
But from a time zone perspective, I mean, like Australia to here, it's.
Yeah, we had like an hour time frame where we could meet, and he was in the office at like 6 or 7 sometimes a.m. So that was a little rough, but.
Hey Brian, how was your experience? I know you kind of had an interesting pairing. Brian was paired with Jessica Lozano, who is the assistant retail manager at the New York store. And so I guess you guys were in the same time zone. Did you guys ever actually get to meet?
Met once. She was here, I think, at the beginning of the program for something else, but she was at the office once. So we met in person one time. But I would kind of echo what Maddie said at the end there. Like, it was tough, just because I feel like this program, it's dependent on getting to know each other on a personal basis, as well as like professional, understanding what you do and what each of you do, what common problems are. So it was tough because we would just Zoom. Her schedule was also kind of a little crazy, so we would try to Zoom when we could, but it was like I think it would be easier, if there was someone here, we could just kind of meet for lunch or whatever and talk and kind of get to know each other. But it was kind of like we were kind of cramming a lot into our Zoom session every couple weeks. So it was kind of difficult to get past that, I guess.
No, that's definitely understandable.
I think for me, it was okay with Zoom. It would have been better if it was in person. But at the same time, she's located in Boston, and I got to see what's going on there and the culture there, and which is very different than here in Santa Barbara. So at that point, I thought it was really nice to just talk to someone weekly of what's going on there and get that. So it's kind of like you have your pros and cons.
And that's tough.
Yeah. I think if you're able to meet every once in a while, I think she came out here 3 times and I was able to see her every time. That's cool. But I mean, if the person doesn't have that kind of a role, then it might be tough.
No.
But it was kind of nice having 2 different offices.
Yeah, I would agree. I think if me and Steve didn't get to meet in person, it would have been much different. But the fact that I was out there and go to lunch and get to have face to face was really good. But I also think it was good to have kind of cross country or cross Zoom as well, because that's how we function as a company. So it kind of helps you. But you have to build relationships that way as well, right? Because we're going to be talking to someone in China or Australia, and you need to feel comfortable building those relationships. So kind of helps foster that. And then getting back to your original question on what we expect to get out of this and how I personally felt about it, I think I can't even remember what I put down on the forum, what I specifically wanted to get out of it. But I know in my head that I was thinking similar to Olivia, career development, where do I really want to go? There's a lot of different places. And what I didn't anticipate that I got out of this was not just talking about this from my mentor, but it helped me feel comfortable to talk to my manager or other people who I directly relate with. So bringing up to Dave Hicks or to Chris Mason, or been having those same types of conversations with them around career development or or opportunities or
How
how
it
they
helps give you like confidence and like
Yeah.
how to speak about it type of thing.
Yeah, and I think, and just kind of perfect timing. Sonos is kind of pushing that to like internal growth and high performing teams. So it's maybe just good timing there as well. But I think that really helped me. I really got a lot out of that. At least just like feeling more comfortable building those types of relationships and talking about other things outside of work with my direct people I work with. Something else that I think I wanted to get more out of is like maybe finding out more specifically what everyone in this program like does with the company. So like Brian's mentor, like I've never met her or seen her in any of this interaction. I'd love to find out like how does things go on at the store. So maybe hearing more specifics from some of the other mentors too, just to get a broader sense of things.
That's a good call.
That could be one of the sessions.
Yeah, just kind of like a 5-minute
session.
Yeah.
Or an introduction session.
And I think some of that happens organically as you go through this. You just like I think I've gotten to know some more people here. Like talk to Mark at the we had the Food Fighters thing, and so just feeling more comfortable with people, but also maybe just have more specifics on somewhat like one of the mentors presenting, oh, this is what we do in this part of the company, here's how we can work together. And that's a really good idea.
Yeah, that's a great idea. We had Amanda Dreyer, she did a presentation to my staff on Enjoy, which is really, touches a lot of us, right? Where a lot of us are dealing with Enjoy, and just for Aaron's benefit and Annie's who don't really get involved in those, other than you do pay bills for them.
Yeah.
But I mean, just having stuff like that really helps, right?
Yeah, I thought that was super cool, and just learning more about a part of the business, like not even really Sonos related, but like bringing another company of like what they're doing that's relating to Sonos, I thought was really, really cool. Because I walked away with that, and now I just have that knowledge of something else that maybe can lead into other things. So I really appreciated any kind of speaker that comes in and talks about what they do.
Yeah, I mean, if, again, done correctly, those things only serve to benefit, broaden the knowledge base, and understanding the facets of the company. It's huge, and taking the blinders off that some people may have just by the nature of their job or their function or their department can never hurt.
Well, I mean, the nice thing too is it went both ways, because now Amanda's got all of you guys as advocates, right?
Yeah.
Like, wow, we really need to figure out Enjoy.
I'd like to get Brittany's take on behalf, not on behalf of HR, but you've been around this for a long time, Brittany. I mean, you understand these kind of programs, I assume, to greater detail. What are your observations working with Sean and Aaron and just kind of the program at large? What did you see?
Thanks, Mark.
Sorry to put you on the spot. I'm honestly curious.
Okay, I tend to talk a lot, so I wanted to make sure I gave you guys a chance to speak before I kind of jumped in. I think these programs have a huge benefit, and seeing the direction where Sonos is pivoting, and especially hearing Patrick say that people are important, right? When we look at our company strategy, and it's one of the first times that people are a priority. Without having great people who are engaged and motivated and developed, I mean, we're not going to get anywhere. So I'm really proud of the work that's been done. Whoever's on this call, in this room, and those who couldn't attend, it's huge. It's really important for us as an organization. And I think the nice piece at Sonos and with this mentor program is we don't have to get it all right at once. It's going to take some evolutions, and that we got to try and pilot this has been a really good success. It's been pretty amazing for me just to see everyone coming together and just sitting here and listening. And there's a lot of great constructive feedback in what you guys are sharing. Is stuff that we talked about along the way as well. And that I think some of the things that we struggled of, like in the beginning, should we pair people? Should we not pair people? And some of that was we were stuck on what was the right thing to do. And we said, hey, let's just give it a try and see what works and what doesn't work. And you guys all had a different experience from it. And I think for me, what I'm excited about this is that we can build upon it and make it a 2.0 or a 3.0. Like, there's so much more to do. I think some of the learnings for me, some of the big ones is kind of even before starting with a mentor program, like we're all really clear on what is a mentor program and what does that look like. So I think there's a lesson there in just managing expectations, and that's from our side, I would say Aaron, Sean, Gil, and myself, making sure that we're clear, and then for your side, as well as the participants, whether you're a mentor or mentee, making sure that those expectations are clear. Because I think if you can really set the stage there, there's just more room for growth and people don't have that uncertainty. So I think that's a good lesson there for us. The other piece, and Mark, this is a little bit like what you mentioned, having experience with mentor programs in other companies, it's the balance of like, do you pair people up? Do you let people find kind of their own relationship? I personally have experienced that people get the most out of a mentorship when it happens organically, when you're not paired up. But in order to have an organic relationship, you kind of need to know who's out there. You need to even know who's out there that you could even connect with, or what are those topics. So I think some work for us to look into that. And then someone kind of asked a question earlier. I couldn't really see. I think it was maybe on the right side of the room or maybe the top left. Sorry, I can't really see all your faces. I think the next phase is then looking to see in terms of this pilot and some of the HR strategies and goals that we're talking about, people, is to see how do we fit this in, and how do we get some more people involved or in this program so that we can try another pilot and make it a success and take these learnings, and then hopefully after that pilot we have even more learnings. So it's still a work in progress and more to come. I think this got some good traction. So I can share, I'm going to have some conversations, or I have been having conversations in the HR team to think about more ways of how are we developing people. And I think it's a great tool to start with. So I'll pause there. I know that was a lot. Want to have like anything that I just shared, anyone have questions on that or thoughts?
I have a question. So is HR going to be, HR or yourself specifically, going to be involved in the 2.0 and the next versions? Will there still be kind of a tether to HR throughout this, or is that TBD?
I don't have a clear answer just yet.
Okay, thanks.
We're definitely talking about it, but I don't have a clear direction just right now.
Cool.
Awesome. Thank you, Brittany.
There is just one thing I wanted to ask. Towards the end, I was just wondering if you guys would be open to trying a quick little exercise. And Sean and Aaron, I know I didn't ask you guys about this, but if we could maybe just like 3 minutes at the end, I just want to try something with you all.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Cool.
Sign us up.
I'm intrigued.
Love exercises.
Yeah, we just have a couple more slides, and we already hit on some of, like, most of the areas, but we can just quickly go through them. So some of the positive common things that we found from the program, and a lot of us already talked about this, exposure to different parts of the company. One of the best parts of feedback we got was the sounding board. So having someone to talk, like, kind of like vent about your daily activities and bounce ideas off that's not your manager, not having that like direct impact on your role is really a huge benefit for a lot of people.
Yeah, just getting an outside perspective on what you're going through. You might not see a clear answer staring you right in the face until someone else looks at it.
Yeah, and then obviously I'm meeting new people within the company. You guys have already spoke about that, and then personal and professional growth. I don't know if you guys have anything else you want to add here for positive common themes. We already hit on a bunch of them. If not, only the next one. Yeah. And then areas of improvement. So we have like a laundry list of lessons learned, and it's been awesome for us to get all the feedback we've gotten already, and then kind of like what we've experienced, like all the way in terms of organization, content, execution, timing, and participation. And that's something that I think Sherwin hit on and someone else earlier, but for the next iteration, we want to have like a physical like playbook, something that outlines what a mentoring program is, kind of what you can expect, like how many speakers, and then any type of material to get help get the relationship started would be really helpful. So that's something that we're thinking of doing. And these other ones we already kind of hit on it. We want to talk to any others, Aaron?
I think we've covered most of these. I think it'd be interesting to hear your guys' opinion on the selection process as well as when the very beginning stages. Obviously Maddie went through a different experience of going out and sort of interviewing with different people. What would you, if you were going to do it again, I guess what would you want to be the sort of selection process or criteria?
You totally lucked out on ours.
Yeah, but I also wouldn't have found him without being prepared.
Yeah.
So I thought about this as you were talking about it a minute ago. I was like, it would be cool to go out and find someone, but then you're not really expanding your network.
Branching
You're
out,
ending up
yeah.
Then what? I end up with Gil, and I sit next to Gil 3 days a week. So and no offense, obviously I appreciate you, but
Yeah.
So I mean, you could provide a panel of a few people and be oh, but then it's awkward because then the non-chosen ones suddenly it's what did I do wrong? I mean,
One thing
usually what James.
I was thinking about is a hybrid. You take a survey, let us know what you're interested in.
Yeah.
Or maybe you have someone in mind or a certain department, and then we can go from there to choose the 3 people that you interview.
I kind of like how you guys did it. You just, this is your person. We thought it'd be a good match. Here you go.
Here you go.
And I think if I was with any mentor, it'd have been great. I mean, that's just a given. I think my pairing was great, and I think I would have said that if it was with anyone else too. But I think you guys kind of did see some similarities of okay, like this would be good, and just kind of do it for us. Because kind of how she said, if I had an option between 3 people, I think it would be kind of awkward. And we don't know best, just why should we choose? And I think if you're kind of forced with someone, especially if you don't know them at all, there's so much learning that can happen with that.
What do you think, Manny? Since I kind of picked the 3 people for the interview, and they were totally outside of your.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this process better, I think. Not that I didn't enjoy talking to Trevor when we were paired together, but I think, and because it helps having Gil know me or know us, I think, or you guys to pair us up with someone. But yeah, because Gil knows me already, I think the 3 people that he picked for me, he knew that all of them would probably be good options, so there wasn't a bad option in there. And to your point, it being awkward of the not chosen ones, they were all
the rejection conversations go.
There was no because Gil was acting as a mediator kind of thing too between us, and there was no rejection. It just so, and the one guy who I ended up not really getting anything out of, because one of the other guys, like I said, actually didn't have time, was interested, but paired me up with someone else on his team who I can learn stuff from or reach out to. The one guy though, I still see him around this office every day, and it's not weird at all. And every one of them, they came into it too, saying first off, which was really helpful and took a little bit of the anxiety off of me to that point. Yeah. They all came into it and was I hope if this it should be mutual on both brands. If one of us doesn't feel it, then it's no whatever. And so it wasn't, I don't know, at least for me, maybe it's awkward for him, I don't know, but we still see each other almost every day, and it's not weird.
But I will tell you though, out of the 3 interviews that you had, all 3 said, when are we going to do this company-wide? I want my people to build in something like this.
Yeah.
And they were all high-profile people.
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
Well, anytime you tell anyone about it, it's that response. They're I want to do it. So yeah, there's a lot of FOMO at the company right now.
Brian, what about you? What was your? Sorry to put you on the spot. Or
all right,
with you over here.
It was good. I mean, it was Jessica. Her role is a lot different. So it wasn't. We didn't have a ton in common. We did have some things in common, she found, but it was cool learning about. A totally different department, what she's doing. It's also a totally new thing for Sonos, so it was cool to see how that's all going and issues they're facing and that sort of thing. So that part is actually really interesting. I was wanted to get down there. It didn't actually work out to visit the store, which would have been cool, but we didn't make that happen, unfortunately.
Well, there's still time.
Yeah, I could.
But again, on the point of selection, I mean, Marie to some extent hit the nail on the head there with Gil played a very instrumental role in this.
Yeah.
I would not on my own have been participating in this thing, I think. Had he not insisted that, this should be a good thing, identifying the, persons and the resources and encouraging us to be part of it, I personally don't think I would have been part of this. So thanks to Gail for insisting that I be part of this, and I totally enjoyed it and found it a very beneficial experience. And we started with you guys thanking us. So along the same vein, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank you for stepping out, going beyond the call of duty, because it's not necessarily within something that you have to do. And being as resourceful as you are, as Olivia pointed out, doing this without a budget, on your own time, your own dime kind of thing, for, I don't even know for what, but for your own personal thing, it's totally awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, it's been an awesome experience for us as well.
Add one more to the selection.
Yeah,
I actually really like that I was paired up with Steve. Like, he's someone I never would have chosen or like even known about. And we kind of had different backgrounds but similar. And so I really like we did that survey at the beginning too. I think that's a good way to match people, because in my head I had a person who's like, oh, I know who I want to be a mentor. I want to work with this person. But what I've come to realize is, like, I don't need the company to tell me that either. I can just go seek that out on my own.
True, yeah.
So I think this kind of has a different point to it. I got a lot of it just being pushed out to meet someone new.
Yeah, cool.
That's actually good. So, given, we all know how much you guys love taking surveys. An honor and a privilege. We do have one final survey that you will be receiving later today. We ask, as your feedback is really what's going to shape the next round, you can take that 10 minutes or so, and a thoughtful comment will go a long way when taking these surveys.
Yep, and then we wanted to say thank you again for participating. Lots of thanks going around today. And then just one final message. Yeah, it's the end of this pilot program, but not the end of mentoring. So we hope you guys continue to meet or find new relationships like some of you have, and keep on growing so that Sonos can become the greatest company on the planet.
That's the goal. Yeah. And you're sort of all ambassadors now of the mentor program.
Need my badge.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. And that was it, yeah. So thank you all. And then I guess, Brittany, we have some special
exercise
game or something.
Yeah. So I want to just try this out, and in the spirit of just being open and sharing with mentoring, one of the things that I've been working on is high-performing teams. And although you guys aren't just like one team, right? And there's different backgrounds and people coming in, there's an exercise that I just learned. It's called back channeling. And back channeling is basically when you leave a meeting or you leave a situation, maybe it's a conversation, and then you go back to your desk or to another person, and then you discuss a topic. And you discuss a topic that you should have raised in the meeting, and maybe you didn't because you were uncomfortable, there wasn't enough time, maybe it was a thought in your head, and then you just didn't feel comfortable. So I want to try it here today because, as the guys mentioned, you're going to get a survey where we're going to ask you for some of your feedback. And just want each of you to take a few seconds to think about, if you were to leave the room today, what is something you would back channel on in regards to the mentor program? And another way to think about it is, what didn't you share today or raise concern that you wish you did? And then what we're going to do is would love for each of you to kind of share that. We don't have to discuss it, and it's just actually something for Gil, Sean, and myself to think about. So when we're gathering some of that feedback, we can take it into consideration. I know this might be a little bit uncomfortable. That's the purpose of it.
Wait, so you want us to think about something we didn't say and then say it?
That's kind of like, all right. I have to learn.
Right. A lot of times people will say, like, I said everything I thought of in a meeting, but a lot of times, like, we're having side conversations in our head, or something that we didn't raise or we're not sure. And I can go first just to kind of give you an idea of, like, how that works.
So through this whole exercise, it was really difficult for me not to be in control. There's certain things I want to happen. I want them to happen a certain way. And I struggle sometimes with Aaron and Sean because they weren't getting it, but I didn't want to feed them all the time. And even when this presentation now, there's like a certain flow I wanted to see, and it wasn't perfect the way I wanted it, but then I have to step back and say, it's not my program, right? But Aaron's heard it before. I mean, I coach Aaron a lot about a lot of different things, and he knows I am a control freak. So
that was more confession.
I'll go. So one of the things I guess I've been thinking about, or if I was to leave the room back chill on, would be, oh my God, this is really exciting. How then do we manage everyone's expectations and everyone's want to be able to do this and make it really successful on a larger scale? So that's something that's in my head right now.
For me,
Go ahead, please.
are you sure? Okay, I'm like actually sad that it's over. Like that was my like takeaway. Is I'm like, no, like I want to like keep sitting in this room with all of you people, and like, you know, I thought it was fun and camaraderie-ish. That's not a word, but like I enjoyed it. Like, and I'm sad that it's over. I have like, it's bittersweet.
Maybe you could do like an update like in 3 months or something.
Yeah.
So, like, so are you guys still moving?
Or like we have a Slack channel. So we can, like,
Yeah.
Yeah, we can use the Slack channel.
Or you can come back to the next group.
I was gonna say maybe we
Yeah.
invite all you guys to all like the
Kind of
group
like limited
speakers
time
and
here.
stuff like that.
Yeah, that'd be
Because your
cool.
guys' perspective will be different from the new people.
Yeah.
that would be cool.
And you guys will eventually be receiving a little paraphernalia of memorabilia. One word.
Pamphlet.
Sweet. Yeah, the bios that I made you guys fill out, yeah, those are gonna be created, so you will have those as some memorabilia for this.
A physical memory.
You got like a little certificate,
Oh yeah.
first participants. Yeah.
Brittany, I'll give you one more. It's kind of what I alluded to. My question to you is, I probably would have back channeled frustration. Maybe that's too extreme a word, in not seeing this, sanctioned by the whole company. And I understand there's the pilot element, which is important, kind of a test and learn thing. But because I think it would benefit everyone here to have it so pervasively spread out there. It's equally exciting as it is frustrating. And I probably would have given that to Aaron and Sean versus you and HR, who would assumingly sanction the program or at least cheerlead it. But that comes with time.
Great. Thanks, Mark.
Good frustration, I guess.
Yeah, it has been an interesting path because a year ago there was like no talk about engaging, empowering people, and now it's at the forefront. So
Good time to do it. Great to have
So
I would add to
here's one more, or anyone else share?
yeah,
Sorry.
what Olivia said, that like how you guys kind of like a group thing. Like, I don't know, you could probably look at our 2 rooms. It's a little bit different on this side.
yeah, for sure.
I mean, Brittany didn't even want to sit with me in this meeting, so Yeah, like it wasn't, I didn't feel like as much a part of like a group, like you guys can talk to each other or other mentors. It was basically just me and my mentor kind of going back and forth. So maybe in the future, if you could find more people in Boston to kind of even it out a little bit, might.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I don't know that the mentors spoke a lot because I don't even think Mark and I ever spoke about this program.
Probably never.
Never. Never.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's something I, just mentioned, but I think we took for granted.
Yeah.
We never, as mentors, even got together and said, "Hey, like, how
Yeah,
things
that's
have been."
fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good learning.
Yeah.
I would say my thought thing would be my back channel, as you call it, would be the fact that I would suggest we do like an assessment in the beginning, so that we could and do an assessment in the end of the individual, so that we can mark progress. I don't know if the survey is the same thing, which is why I didn't bring it forward. But in terms of individual participants, doing an assessment in the beginning that says this is where I'm at, and at the end you do another assessment that says this is where I'm at now, and you can do that compartment.
Yeah.
Great feedback.
Another thing is like participation. Like I feel like this particular group sitting in this room and you guys like are always here, but I feel like there's a couple individuals that aren't always here. So maybe for the next one, like really stress, like if you want this, like you have to really be here for it and be engaged.
Yes,
I think like
that's one of our
yeah.
It's definitely one of our lessons learned. We kind of like hand selected people, but for the next round, we want people that actively want to participate.
Yes.
It should be mandated. It should be willing to participate on
right.
both sides. Yeah.
Yeah, you want everyone to like, if you're gonna do it, make it a priority. Like, do it.
Exactly.
Yeah, we understand you can make every meeting.
Right. We want to play the fine line between mandatory assignments, stuff like that, and just not overwhelming the participants too much. But yeah.
All right. Cool. Thanks, everyone. Happy Cinco de Mayo.
Happy Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah.
How are we?
Please.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, everybody.
Woo! I there's gonna be a large line.
I'm so hungry. Yeah, because I would never eat in the morning. I'm just done. It's my own fault.
Good job.
One other thing is
Even though I am in control.
well, yeah.
Good job, man.
On my trip to Sean, and then 2 days kind of report.
Oh, we got it now. That's where the meeting should be.
Totally.
Yeah.
Happy hour.
Make it so it's not so much, everyone's relaxed, have a beer in the hand.
A lot more is discussed in transfer.
Yeah.
True.
Like a happy day one happy hour or something.
Yeah,
Everyone.
that'd be good. And then one at the end.
We wanted to do it at the end, yeah.